Hey guys, it's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today I'm answering my most asked question on my channel. What is the best wireless gaming headset? This is the hardest video for me to make because so many headsets do different things better than others or worse than others, and then you might have specific use cases or needs. So there's no answer. My answer is always, or my response is always a question, and I start asking all these things like how you're using it. And even then, you still have multiple choices. So there's going to be a lot to discuss in this video. I'm going to try to condense and provide all the easy to digest, quick answer things up front. And then I'm going to explain why in more detail. And I'm going to cover other headsets I don't mention in the beginning to help in case there's something that stands out to you as being more important. So some of these have been sent to me for review. I've purchased a lot. Corsair and Razer. Actually, all three of these were sent to me for review. So big thanks to Razer, Corsair, and Turtle Beach. I bought all of the SteelSeries headsets. So the Novas, the HS80 I bought. The Roccat was sent to me for review. The Audeze Penrose was sent to me for review. And there's others that I'll be talking about. I bought, all the Sony InZone headsets and stuff. So it doesn't change what I say. I'm very fortunate that I'm very upfront with the people who send me this and like, look, I'm going to review it fairly. And if I have some serious issues, I'll talk to you about it first to make sure it's not me having problems. So big thank you to all the companies that have worked with me to help me get to this point. And thank you to all for helping me grow. So I will have links in the description for every headset I talk about. It's a generic Amazon affiliate link. It helps support the channel. So huge thanks if you use that. Otherwise, purchase it where you feel comfortable. You want to get a deal and you want to make sure you buy it from a reputable seller. And don't forget to like and subscribe because I think this video will probably be the final push to get over 20,000 subscribers. And I'm giving away some stuff. I'm giving away headsets, a keyboard, a speaker. So I want to thank you all and celebrate the 20K with you all. Now, before I start talking about all these headsets, I do want to say I invested a lot on the headphone measuring side and headset measuring gear, so I can accurately measure frequency response, driver matching, etc. Because a lot of that translates into what you actually hear. Is it too much bass, too sharp, everything sounds muffled together. And the driver matching is important for footsteps. So as I talk about each headset, I'll be showing a picture of that frequency measurement graph. This isn't an end-all, be-all measurement, but it will give you an idea on if there's bass emphasis, if it's relatively flat, if it's all over the place and inconsistent, which means it may not sound as natural to music. For music, you generally want a relatively smooth line so there's not a jarring, shrieky high followed by a voice that's very subdued. So that's just the backstory, and I'm just going to include those as I talk about these. So to answer the question bluntly, I'm going to respond with three categories first, and that's going to be value. So for $100 or less, my favorite two is actually the Razer Barracuda X and the Corsair HS55 wireless core. So they both have Bluetooth. They both have exceptional microphones. They're both extremely comfortable. So they have different strengths, in my opinion. The Razer's giving you better battery life, and to me a little bit more comfort because you have that sport fabric ear cup. So if comfort, long-term gaming is important, the battery life and pad material is going to be great. This also does Bluetooth. Now, it does not do simultaneous Bluetooth, so you will have to choose Bluetooth or your wireless connection, which is a little USB-C dongle. That's common at $100 because if you do dual at the same time, you're basically paying for two transceivers inside, and that's what drives the cost up. That's why you only see it on more expensive headsets, except Xbox, because Microsoft wanted to undercut everybody. But for $100, I like this headset a lot. The Bluetooth support actually allows you to use a mobile app to tune the headset. So for $100, you can actually change bass, mids, and treble. There's like a 10-band or 8-band equalizer to fine-tune the sound to your liking. It gets fairly loud, and it sounds pretty good. My edge and overall sound quality goes to the HS55 wireless from Corsair because they use... this doesn't always mean this is why it sounds better, but this has 50mm drivers versus Razer's 40mm. They do get a little bit warmer on your ear because of the leatherette ear cups. But they do sound better. If you're playing a game with lots of explosions, lots of intensity, and there's a lot of stuff happening at once, the HS55 is just more in control of that. And to me, it's still easier to pinpoint the subtle details like a footstep. Or if you're listening to music, you're going to hear more instrument separation and layering, or texturing, they call it, on this. So Ultimately for me, the HS55 is my top pick because I don't need to have my headset on the entire time. I don't mind taking it off my ear once in a while to cool it off. But I love the sound quality. They're both very reliable. I want to say this too. I'm recommending headsets that don't have horrible faults, like always have wireless dropout issues or lots of complaints for build quality, firmware freezing, all kinds of things that, like, yeah, it might be good on paper, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have a lot of issues with it, I don't want to recommend it. So these are reliable. These are what I would recommend family and friends for $100 or less. If you need a headset for Xbox, there aren't a lot of great wireless headsets for Xbox at $100 or less. You had the old Arctis One wireless. The Microsoft Xbox wireless headset is okay for $100. It's functional. It has a poor mic. The sound quality is way too bass heavy and doesn't have a lot of detail, but it has a lot of features for the price, and Microsoft lets you EQ it. Honestly, for Xbox, I would spend at least $120 and up and look at higher end models. If you're looking at wireless, you'll get a much better experience. So again, exclusively for Xbox, that brings you to the Astro A20 Gen 2. That brings you to the Turtle Beach 600 Gen 2 USB edition, which has the Xbox Switch on it. These work on everything else but Xbox wirelessly. They have between Bluetooth and the USB connection, which means PC, Mac, and mobile and PlayStation. The Barracuda actually has an aux input, auxiliary input, so you can connect this to a controller, which means technically the Barracuda X will work on Xbox. You're just not doing it wirelessly. So for my middle tier, this to me represents the best bang for your buck tier. And my top two, I did like a three-way head-to-head or comparison with the Stealth 700 Gen 2 Max, the Nova 7X, and the Astro A30 Gen 2. I am more in line to prefer these two over the Astro because they're less expensive and ultimately they performed better for me for both gaming and music. The app tend to work better as well. So my top pick was the Stealth 700 Gen 2 Max because when you tune it to your liking, if you end up adding a little bit of bass to it, the 700 still has better footstep positional awareness than the Nova. They are so close in stock tune that you can't go wrong with either one. Now, this is on sale for like $140 right now. So Xbox owners, if you need an Xbox wireless headset at $140, this is unbeatable for bang for your buck. It has simultaneous Bluetooth, EQ presets, game to chat mix so you can fade to hear your friends versus the game louder and softer, an excellent microphone side tone. There's a button in the app to enable mic background noise rejection. Doesn't work great, but it does work well. Excellent glasses comfort because of the Pro Spec. You can create a little divot to reduce stress on frames. And the 700 Gen 2 Max Xbox Edition has a dongle with a switch on it to switch it to USB mode. And this works perfectly fine with PlayStation, PC, Mac, and Xbox wirelessly while also having a simultaneous Bluetooth connection. So you can see why I like this headset. I've seen a couple people complain about some issues with wireless stability. It's only happened to me a couple times. It's very minor, but it did happen. Like a micro stutter. Otherwise, it's been rock solid for me the entire time I've had it. Now, the Nova 7X has never had a wireless issue for me. This is the most comfortable. It has to be top 3 for sure for the most comfortable gaming headset I've ever used for long periods of time and short. They have such soft memory foam sport fabric ear cups, so there's no heat issues. The clamp to me is perfect because this is a light headset. You have that ski band or ski goggle band thing. I never say it right. So you don't have any hard points or pressure at the top of your head, but it's just so comfortable. The microphone's okay. This Stealth has a better mic. Battery life, these are all, this is 38 hours, that's 40 hours. So the battery life is comparable. The one thing I like about the Nova 7X is you have one wheel for your game to chat mix on the right and then another wheel for your volume on the left. Makes it very easy to adjust for gaming on Xbox. If you're using this on PlayStation, there's no game to chat mix. In fact, there are no wireless headsets that do game to chat mix on PlayStation because Sony wants you to buy their in zones for that or their own pulse. So that's kind of annoying, but it's not the fault of the headset. Ultimately, honestly, you get diminishing returns when you spend more than this price range. These are phenomenal headsets and to me represent the overall best value you can get, period, between the Nova 7X and the Stealth 700 Gen 2 Max. Just make sure you do the firmware updates on either one to make sure it's running the way it's supposed to. Now, a side note, if you are using this on Windows, you want to use Sonar to use the game to chat mix on PC with the Nova 7 or 7X or 7P. You have to use Sonar in order to have any kind of game to chat mix or virtual sound. The older Audeze 7, which sounds similar to the Nova 7, the Nova 7 is tuned a little bit better with the bass and mid-range. But that one presents a game source and a chat source to the computer, so you don't need Sonar to have game to chat mix. Sonar is incredibly powerful. It works on anything you plug into your computer because it's virtual sound tuning. I don't like that they force you to use Sonar to have game to chat mix on PC because it doesn't always work right. But if you're okay with dealing with that and getting it set up, the Nova is a better line than just the regular Audeze. It's just something to consider. Now, a couple honorable mentions. The Corsair HS80 has less battery life than all these. It's 20 hours. It retails for $150, so it's outgunned when you look at all the features and what you can do with the Nova and the Stealth. However, the microphone on the HS80 is absolutely ridiculous. It's the best mic you'll get under $200 on a wireless headset, and right now it's on sale for $100. So if you don't need Bluetooth and you're okay with a more flat sound, this is a little bit more dull. This is more explosive sounding, for example. The HS80 isn't a bad pick. It's just not the best bang for your buck at $150. But for $100, it's a worthy consideration, and that works on PC and PlayStation. The other ones I want to recommend or throw out there, I'm not a huge fan of these, but I'm saying this because you may need this feature. If you play a lot of first-person shooters on PlayStation only, you're a PS5 player, for example, the Sony InZone H7s and H9s and the Sony Pulse all have game to chat mix via a button on the headset. And if that's important to you and you need to have physical controls, you're stuck with those. The best bang for your buck is the the H7, which is under $200, but it has a lower quality microphone, and honestly, the build quality is even kind of rough. But the mic is worse and the sound quality is worse than the Nova and the 700s. So only get the Sony InZone if you just want the game to chat mix. They are actually pretty comfortable, but they're beat by these as well. All right, now it's time to talk about the big boys. All the best wireless gaming headset over $200. The question of money is no object. What's the best wireless headset for me? In a simple answer, the Nova Pro Wireless is the best wireless gaming headset overall on the market right now. The sound quality is excellent. It's one of the best wireless gaming headsets you can work with as far as tuning and the out-of-the-box sound, footsteps awareness, etc. Their game DAC, while not perfect, is excellent because it has dual USB connections on it and aux pass-through. So if you buy the Xbox version of the Nova Pro Wireless, you can also connect a second included USB cable to your PlayStation. So if you play on both consoles, whichever console you turn on, the DAC will automatically switch, and then you can be wirelessly gaming on both. If you get the PC/PlayStation version, you can play on PlayStation and PC, and it'll hop back and forth. Any mix. The Xbox version works on PC as well. It sounds great. The microphone is good. It's average tier, but it's reliable. The Virtuoso XT from Corsair has the best microphone, but the comfort and sound quality is nowhere close to the same level as this, so I'm not recommending it as a top pick just for that reason. The Nova Pro is just on another level. You get the hot swap battery bringing you over 40 hours of continuous use. If for any reason you decide not to charge the second one while this one's being played on, it just does so much. It has active noise cancellation, which doesn't work well. It's, to me, not really valuable. If anything, it's a detractor because you have this bump right here on the pad. Let's pop this pad off because I need to expose the truth. This has been discussed. It's not like it's anything new now, but you have this giant ANC microphone bump in the middle. Now there's new pads coming out. I can't really talk about it yet because of supply chain issues and availability, but there are new thicker pads coming out soon that's going to basically fix the only issue I've had with this. That's why it's an easy top pick for me. Now, if you still want good sound, but you want to save a little bit off the retail, $350, the Roccat Syn Pro Max is also a good option if you're primarily a PC player. This does not work well on PlayStation. Even though most USB-based headsets that work on PC typically work on PlayStation, it worked terrible for me. So it's not my top choice for console gaming, and it doesn't even work on Xbox at all. This is basically your PC only gaming headset. It actually has a better microphone than the Nova, and it has incredibly powerful sound. These use the 50mm nano clear drivers that are also used on the Stealth, and they are not afraid to show it. You can see the driver on it. This is a really well-made headset. My only gripes really is the battery life is poor. It's under 20 hours, partly because of the RGB, and this fitment may not be for everybody. Even on the smallest setting, it's basically just small enough for me to be comfortable. If you have a shorter head or a smaller head, or you want more pressure, it might feel a little loose or awkward. So it's not perfect, but you have to consider that this is $100 less than the Nova Pro wireless, but to a lot of people, this is going to sound better. The bass is super explosive and dynamic, and it still sounds incredibly clean. There's a little bit of a dip in the mid-range, whereas this is more accurate for music. But for $100 less, it's still a comparably good headset for the PC gaming, and it even has simultaneous Bluetooth, just like the Nova. So you can listen to your Bluetooth source at the same time you play if you want to have a mobile phone connected to it. Now, the extra elephant in the room is the Audeze Penrose. This is always going to be talked about when you're asking about top tier wireless gaming headsets. And it's the biggest, your mileage may vary headset I've ever reviewed, because they are known to have some wireless interference issues, especially on the Xbox side. This is the Penrose X, which means the dongle, which I have floating around here, has a switch on it. There's an Xbox mode, works wirelessly on Xbox with game to chat mix. PC mode works perfectly fine wirelessly on PlayStation, PC, and Mac. And then it's Bluetooth, which is simultaneous, so you can listen to a mobile device as well. There's also an auxiliary input, so you can plug any line into it. And there's also a USB connection. So this is a very versatile headset. It sounds incredible for music. It sounds great for gaming. Now, these are using planar magnetic drivers, so the mid-range is absolutely bonkers. Some may like or dislike the way the treble is tuned. It can either be a little too spicy, too bright sounding, or shrill. You can EQ that. Now, I have the Wicked Cushions Freeze pads that just came out. I think they're about $30. I'm going to be reviewing the pads separately later. But whenever you change pads, you change the frequency response. So in my description below, I will have a link. I made my own custom preset because I can measure all my headsets now. I've invested a lot into measuring frequency response, and I EQ'd this to sound more like how it does out of the stock packaging with the stock pads. However, now you get the added comfort because these pads are more comfortable than the default ones that come from the box. So this is a good headset. It didn't take my #1 spot because I have had issues with wireless interference and dropouts on Xbox, not so much on PC or PlayStation, but I can't recommend this to everyone because you may have the same issue, and it would be unfortunate. If you're willing to take the gamble and you want to tinker with tuning and you don't mind the sub 20-hour battery life or strong clamp force, you will be rewarded with probably the best sound you can get out of a wireless gaming headset as far as total potential. And this is the loudest by far, like 10 decibels louder than everything else here. Now, before I move on to final thoughts, I have 3 honorable mentions in the high price category. You can see why I told you this was a complicated answer. These are the Master Dynamic MG20s, and in the stock preset and in the esports preset, which cuts bass down, they measure extremely well. Master and Dynamic gives you beryllium drivers. Yes, beryllium drivers are the same type of driver found in the $5,000 Focal Utopias that just came out this summer. So the drivers are great on this, and the resolution and detail retrieval rivals the Audeze Penrose without necessarily having the same issues for comfort. So the MG20 is so comfortable. It has real leather. The clamp force is light. They're using a magnesium frame, so it's expensive though. This is a $450 headset, so my issue with this is bang for your buck, because ultimately, just for FPS gaming and having, game to chat mix and all these other features to customize it, the Nova is still going to beat it, which is why I led with that being my favorite. However, if music listening is super important to you or you like the looks, the MG20 certainly delivers there. Now, my issue with the MG20 is it's a Bluetooth-only headset, so you have to deal with the slight extended latency, and this is known to have a couple little hiccups from time to time as well. I've read about people having way more significant issues on wireless than I have. I've had minor issues from time to time, worse than the Stealth 700 and comparable to the Penrose, my little hiccups that I would get. When it does work, it sounds brilliant. So again, it's one of those things where if you're willing to chance it, just make sure you can buy it at a place you can bring it back if you don't like it. This does sound amazing, and I think it will blow you away for music quality. You can't custom EQ this. There's only 3 presets that you can use through the app. Bass boost is very bass heavy, but it still stays incredibly clear thanks to those 50mm beryllium drivers. So you really can't customize much. You just play and forget. And that's how the MG20 goes. Now I have 2 other honorable mentions that aren't with me at the moment, but it is what it is. The Astro A50 is going to get talked about in this price range. It's been a good headset. It's honestly very comfortable. It's very easy to use for the whole physical game to chat mix. And I find that with the EQ preset community, you have a lot of good ways to tune it as well. My issue is it's $300, and for $50 more, the Nova Pro is better in every single way. It is comparably comfortable if the ANC bump isn't an issue. So I would give the edge to the A50 for comfort, but the mics are comparable. The battery life is better on this. The sound quality is better. It gets louder. You have USB-C, multiple inputs. It's just a more capable headset. So the Astro isn't bad. It's a tried and true system, but it's just outdated. So there's always been that question since the A30 was announced. Cool, but where's the A50? The new gen isn't here yet. So to me, the old one is not one of my top picks right now. Now, another one to consider is the Bang & Olufsen Beoplay Portal, which I've reviewed. I've used extensively on Xbox, but the PlayStation version is actually the better version. So even though it doesn't work on Xbox with wireless, you can still use an aux connection to it. But the PlayStation version has double the battery life of the Xbox version, giving you close to almost 40 hours of battery life via Bluetooth. It does support wireless connection to the PlayStation thanks to an included USB dongle, which also works on PC. The only downside to the Portal is the microphone, whilst decent and surprisingly good for beamforming array, because there's no boom on the Portal. It's just integrated mics. But it's incredibly comfortable. It images well. It has a great app. They've made a lot of improvements. It also has good noise cancellation, which is great for travel. At $500 retail, pretty tough sell. But at the time of this review, it's on sale for Black Friday week for $300. So that is an amazing option to consider as a fallback to some of these other guys. It really, if you just want gaming focused, you're sitting at home, you just want the best experience for your PC and console, just keep it simple. It goes back to the Nova and I suppose the Audeze because they're unique enough. This is a good value with the Rockcat, but I would still spend the extra and just get the Nova Pro at the end of the day. The other one, I didn't think about this one earlier. The Razer Barracuda Pro is great if you're also a mobile gamer because it has the best noise cancellation I've heard on a gaming headset. This guy here retails for $250, on sale for $200. So this is a good option. The microphones are pretty bad though. It sounds like you have like a garbled water sound. So I'm not a fan of the mic, but if the mic's not that important to you and you also want to travel, the case, the sound quality of this is actually great. So the Barracuda Pro is something to consider, especially at $200. I just wouldn't use it as my primary gaming thing if I'm chatting with friends a lot. It's a little too cumbersome with the mics. So this will be a short part of the video, but I'll probably get asked what's the best wireless headset for footsteps. Under $100, there's really only one that did an exceptional job for me for footsteps, and that was the HyperX Cloud Core Wireless. It doesn't get crazy loud, the microphone's not great, and your ears get really hot after a while. Honestly, the HS55 and Barracuda X from Corsair and Razer are better headsets overall in every other regard. They don't image as well as the HyperX, but they're really close, with the HS55 being the closest to the HyperX. And then in the mid-range, I've made this pretty clear. The 700 Gen 2 Max and the Nova 7s are the best footsteps wirelessly between $100 and $200. They handle a really good amount of detail. They sound great for music, but ultimately, if you're concerned with localization and footsteps, these are the top guns in that price range. The Audeze is here, but honestly, not the best headset for footsteps. You will hear details and footsteps will sound clear, but because of the way their drivers are set up inside and overall imaging performance, the Nova Pros actually have better physical awareness. Even the Astro A50s has a great tune for footstep awareness. I'd still pick the Nova Pro ultimately for the best possible capability of hearing where everything's coming from, but that sums up FPS. So that about wraps up the video. I hope that this video made it easier for you to decide and at least helped you narrow it down. If you're stuck between a couple, I've reviewed basically every headset I've ever discussed here in great detail, so take a look at my channel. Maybe those longer videos will help you decide if you're stuck between a couple of them. I've reviewed everything but the HS55, which is coming out soon. So yeah, I hope I answered your questions and you could see why this was such a complicated video to produce, because what I like and what's important to me, you may not care about or you may completely disagree with, and that's okay. But either way, I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The growth's been insane. Thank you so much for that and all the kind words, and I will see you next time. Bye.